and we should be live. Okay, go ahead, Alicia.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I know there are some people in the room. I can see you, I think so. Well, it's so nice to be back again. Hi, everyone. So, hi to Fesk, hi to Josh, and hi to Brian. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. It's a pleasure to have you guys around. I know we've been connecting over the internet and those things and it's just nice to be able to see your faces and just connect with you. And so tonight, as per usual, we will be discussing everything, just having kind of a mental health check and just discussing everything from NFTs to emotions and everything that has been going on lately in our lives and all of the thoughts we have been experiencing. And it's just really a basic chill conversation, but I feel like it's pretty useful for people. And I love the fact that we are able to shine a light on those things that we perhaps tend to dismiss a bit on social media. um, and yeah, without further ado, I guess we shall start. And as per usual, we just start by asking ourselves simple questions. And I love to do a round table and ask each and every one of you how have you been doing and what have you been experiencing lately and how are things going, basically, like what's up. I shall start with Ryan, since you are one of our two guests. Hi.
Okay, hello. I was hoping I could listen to someone else's answer and then piggyback off that, but that's
Sorry.
okay.
You
I'm
got
doing
this.
good. Yeah, I mean, I can't complain, honestly. Life is pretty good. I just got into Super Rare, so I'm stoked about that.
Yay.
Um, I mean, yeah, there's really like nothing to complain about. Life is just good at the moment, you know. There's always those moments where I feel like I'm not doing enough. There's always that FOMO and everything on Twitter, but that's just kind of part of the
Mhm,
job at this point, right?
mhm. Yeah, totally. And what have you been working on lately, and what has made you feel comfortable or not comfortable in your just like process and all of the things you've been working on? Because I know
Yeah.
you have a lot of projects and you have a lot of artworks every single day, and I just love everything you do because it's so just, it's so it's so unique. Like whenever I see a piece of yours, oops, sorry, my microphone just fell out because I'm standing. But
Yeah,
yeah.
as a side note, just to chime in a little bit, like I think Ryan just released a new piece with the robots, and like he's been doing like a series of robots. So like I would love to hear like your process and mentally like how you plan. Did you plan it all out, or it was like more organic and you went with the
Mhm.
flow,
I
creatively wise?
I kind of went with the flow, like it just started off with me like I just wanted to do these like robots that were just made out of like random objects like old tires and old like spare parts and things.
Mhm.
And that turned into the wheel guy that I did a while ago. And when I first made that, I was actually like really worried that people weren't gonna like it as much as my other stuff, because I was like, oh, this is different, this is more like whimsical, it's not like as cool, or I don't know. Um, but it just turned into me building out this whole universe around the robots, and now I plan to make a short film about it. But yeah, I mean, I
Great.
usually start with just sketching. I just like sketch these ideas out on my iPad, um, and I'll take that sketch and start modeling it in Cinema 4D, and then rig it from there. And usually, after I have the character design, I'll think of like where would it be in the world. Like what kind of environment is it going to be, like in the water? Is it going to be in the sand? That kind of thing, and just try and build a story around that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to see someone else's process and just like uh, something that is perhaps so different from what I do or what Josh's do and Fest does as well. Like it's so interesting. And ever since I discovered your work and started just to see you around. I know we've not been like sharing a lot together about like how you get into the space and how you first felt. about the space and how has been your journey so far in this space, and what have you went through basically, because I know that it's been a couple of months already, I assume.
Yeah. So I started minting back in February, kind of when the craze started. It's funny because I got the email from Maker's Place like 6 months beforehand, and I just never responded to it like most people. Because I just didn't know what it was at the time. I was like, it kind of sounded like a scam, like sell your artwork. Like I just didn't know what it was. So I never responded. And then, like David Ariev started getting really into it, and he's like a good friend. So like when I saw him getting into it, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should try this. And so that's when I like finally like followed up and got on Maker's Place. And I didn't really know like what I was doing at first. Like the first couple things I minted are like kind of nothing like what I mint now. They were like these specimen jars with like snakes and eyeballs in them, which is like kind of like more of like a horror theme. And now all of my stuff is like robots in nature. Like I feel like I've definitely like honed in on my specific brand a lot more now, and like I know like what I'm known for essentially. And I'm trying to just like stick to that like consistency now, and make sure that everything I do going forward is recognizable. It has that Ryan Talbot stamp on it, whether that's like the robot with the glowing eyes, or the colorful textures, and things like that. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm curious, just as you were mentioning, like sticking to a specific aesthetic and just a specific style, and something that really resonates with who you are and like what's your vibe, etc. I know a lot of people are really keen to just like experiment more and just be into the process of switching every so often, because I feel like they learn a lot from that.
Absolutely.
But I myself, I am really much more on that side of just like sticking to a specific style and trying to see it evolve into different medias. And I was just wondering, like, if you feel like it has helped you in a way to just make that decision, and how it has affected your process and your way of working, I guess.
Yeah, I think now I evolve a little bit with every piece. So like I still leave myself room to grow as an artist, because like the concept behind every piece is a little bit different, even though they all carry the same theme. So I feel like fortunate enough to like sort of position myself in a place where I've got this consistent theme, but like I've also given myself a lot of wiggle room to grow within that. And like if I want to make something or that's like a little bit different or completely different than what I'm minting, like I'll just make it anyways and not mint it. Like it's okay. Not everything I make has to be an NFT, and I think that's fine. Like I've made a couple of things in the last couple months that I just never minted because I felt like it didn't fit in with the current series that I was making. But yeah.
Fine.
Does that answer the question?
yeah, totally. It's interesting to just learn about everyone's behavior towards NFTs and minting, and how it affects your process, and how it just affects your way of perceiving yourself into your work as well, and in the space in general. And I feel like the four of us can really relate to perhaps sticking to a personal vibe or aesthetic, because like Fez has is really in my opinion is really distinctive colors and like materials and shading, and Josh of course has his amazing portals and landscapes and just like surreal spaces all of his own. And I myself have, I guess, abstract and colors, so it's really interesting to be here with you guys, because I feel like we share that common aim and goal. But sometimes, do you feel sometimes stuck in that, or do you feel like sometimes it's holding you back?
For me personally, no. Like I don't feel like I'm being held back at all right now. Like maybe like a year from now I'll get sick of it and want to do something different, but at least like right now, I kind of just feel like there's this well of ideas that's untapped that I'm just like scratching the surface of. Like I got like a whole storyboard going for this short film based around this universe, and basically like every piece that I'm making right now fits into that universe somehow. Like it's gonna be some piece of that short film in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
love
Ryan.
I would love to hear Josh's perspective on this, because I think
Oh,
that
absolutely.
out of all of us, like he's the most consistent. Like it's crazy, Josh. Dude,
So
your pieces are
consistent, like-
it's
Ryan's
extremely consistent. It's extremely consistent. So I'm really curious, like, what's your perspective on this? Do you feel rather trapped on experimenting with new things? How is that?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for asking the question. And you know, Ryan, I've been seeing how your work has evolved from the, you know, like what you mentioned in the beginning with the specimen jars, and those
Yeah.
pieces were like super viral. And I think when I met you, like at Beeple's party in like 2018 or something, you had just done some I don't know, it was like projection mapping stuff.
Yeah,
something
that
like
was for
And-
Australia's Got Talent.
yeah.
Another like completely random
It was
thing,
like something
unrelated.
totally different.
Yeah.
But you know, like your work over time, you know, a few of those pieces like went pretty viral, you know, especially that one jar and stuff. And then to see like you know, pick up this thread of the robots, and to see like your enthusiasm around like building this world of robots. It's really freaking cool. And I just want to make like a really stupid suggestion, and you can laugh at me and throw this away. But
Okay.
I want them to be called the Talbots.
That's
Instead
amazing.
of
That's really
robots.
I'll put that in the graffiti somewhere in the next one. The Talbot.
Oh. Easter egg, yes.
Yeah. I wouldn't even have to
So
change the spelling.
No, you like you sent me a DM once, and I got it on my watch, and it hyphenated it, and it said Talbot, and I was like, oh my god.
That's amazing.
Anyway, that's stupid thing.
No, it's amazing.
I
Love
think it's
it.
brilliant.
But I love your robots. I love the whole series of the Lily and everything. And you really actually like seeing what you did with prints with collectors and stuff like really inspired me. And you know, it's just good to see you. And we got to hang out a couple of weeks ago. And that was freaking awesome.
Yeah, dude. Thank you, man.
Anyway,
I mean, your work is phenomenal too.
I went on a
Aw.
total tangent. I want to answer your question about consistency, because I see, you know, I seen how you evolved, and for Fesk and for Alicia, like I don't know if I know your earlier work as well as I know Ryan's earlier work. But I mean, I guess for me, like I started off doing like just doing like abstract shapes and stuff with cinema. Like I was really inspired by like Raw and Rendered, and you know, Joey, his stuff, and like people's, you know, kind of like more abstract stuff. And then I started doing like more sci-fi stuff, and then I just like dove into landscapes, and it just turned into like a landscape thing. And once I discovered like World Creator, World Machine, and like building terrains and stuff, I was like, this is my home, you know, this is what I love to do. I love nature, I love being outside, I love forests. And I love, you know, I love mountains and landscapes and big, you know, big scenes. Like that's what I gravitate towards in like art. So I would like to, you know, I think for us, especially like artists that were like heavily involved on Instagram, you know, with like the followers and the algorithm and everything, there is like, whether it's conscious or not, like, you know, there is a tendency to like want to put something out that's going to drive engagement, you know. That's the sad truth of it, and that's like the soul suck of the artist. You know,
Right.
I have to drive engagement.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, that's just like, it's so toxic and so like it's so like corporate speak, like this is my brand,
Right.
And I almost hate saying that now. I almost hate saying like I have a brand to my art, but like we all, we all have our own motifs, we have like the styles we work in, and they're all really cool and they're all very distinctive, and every one of your work I can pick out, be like that's best, but yeah, I mean, I guess, even though I guess I feel like I have an identifiable style, like I feel like it's evolved over time, like Ryan was saying, like with every piece, there's a little bit of an evolution. And, now I think like what has emerged over the last year has been this sort of spirits idea, which was not really present before. But, my work is about, it's really about spiritual journey and about, it's self-reflection and finding inner peace, so I started using these floating glowing figures and sitting glowing figures and walking glowing figures, but using a figure as a light source inside a natural environment has become what I call like my spirits series. And I think that like my next move is to do a really deep dive on that idea, because I've kind of reached a stopping point with like my portals and my clouds, where I don't feel like it's really getting me anywhere anymore. Anyway, I think I talked enough for right now.
No, that's great. That's great that you kind of really love your style, in a sense that you don't feel that it's a bad thing to stick with it, right? I think that for all of us, we kind of love our style so much that we do not feel trapped in a way. And over the years, these styles always evolve, right? I used it to use a lot of like white and red, and nowadays it's like blue, purple, and red, I'm not using the old color palette, and it's evolving over time. But yeah, like it's a really interesting perspective from both of you.
Yeah. It's like, I want to just I feel like you sit down and you paint the same, like if I was a painter, let's say, like you paint the same thing over and over and over again until something new happens, and then when something new happens, it's like a breakthrough. I think that's the process of art. I really consider myself like a process-oriented artist, as opposed to like, a visionary type of artist. I mean, not visionary, that's the wrong word. But like, I don't really plan stuff, like I trust the process, I don't like sketch. I don't really like storyboard, not that there's anything wrong with that. Like, I love artists who work that way. But I really am process oriented, like I trust, sitting down and taking out the tools with a blank canvas and whatever happens, and if something new emerges, it's a beautiful thing, but sometimes it just takes, over and over, just doing the same thing until something happens, and then it's like this magic, and you get taken off in a new direction.
Yeah, totally. I love it. It's really interesting that you mentioned that, because I feel like we just tend to forget the amount of time that we spend on just like creating an artwork, and just like how much we repeat that same process over and over again. And we just sometimes take it for granted, I guess, because we're just so caught up in the habit of doing that, when really there's something happening behind the scenes, and the process evolves like that. And you can definitely see it in each piece going forward in your journey, and seeing the process, and how perhaps you are doing your clouds, and how you do them now, and like how you position your characters, and how everything has a different perspective, and basically all of the layers that just adds up is what makes it interesting. And I feel like it's the same for physical art as well, like physical art as those kinds of layers as well. Like painters, they're going to add different colors and then add different textures, and like it's all going to overlap and create something different. And we do the same thing, but it's with different assets, I guess.
It's process. Like the process is the same no matter the medium, like
Yeah,
it's the same.
totally. I've just thought about that myself, because I've been trying to shift my process a bit with that aim in mind, of just like actually taking advantage of all of the things I've learned for the past few years as I was a student in graphic design, and then like all of my personal years of experience as a freelancer, and all of the softwares I learned about, and all of the techniques, etc. And sometimes when I feel stuck, I feel like maybe it's time to do the same thing but with another tool. Like if I do it with another tool, perhaps it's going to unlock something, because sometimes the kinds of revolution happens in the gestures and in the things you uses. It's like an extension of your arm and yourself, so it kind of happens in that sort of process, in my opinion. And I'm interested about that. I feel like it's something I would perhaps advise people to do if they're feeling like they're stuck, or like sometimes you just feel like you are a blank canvas and you don't know where to start, and you're stuck, and you have this client project to do or whatnot, and you don't know where to start because everything feels so familiar. But you can, like, sometimes you have to feel uncomfortable doing what you know to do best.
Yeah,
If that makes any
absolutely.
sense.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree, but I kind of disagree because, like,
Okay.
when I'm frustrated and I cannot do art, I have a creative block and stuff like that. Trying to do my process in a different way always brings me more frustration, right?
Oh yeah. Okay.
I remember that I was trying to get a series of work out, and I was trying, okay, let's try some new shit, Let's try to use my iPad and draw some assets on the iPad. It was a pain. Pure frustration. And then you have to go from the iPad, transfer to Dropbox, from the Dropbox to the computer, and all that added friction in my process, and I hated it, and it was terrible. So, like, I do agree there's a lot of value in, like, switching things up, but if maybe you are already, like, frustrated for not getting things done, trying to add, like, it's terrible. For me, at least, it's fucking terrible.
Totally understand. I mean, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It's all about how you're the mindset you're into at that precise moment. Because, like, if you're dealing with anxiety and all of this stuff and stress and just frustration, sometimes your mind is not able to go past that, and that's totally fine. Like, you can do things like at your own pace, and I do that myself. Like, sometimes I just want to make something different, but I just end up doing the same thing as I did, like, perhaps like 10 times before. And I have to be comfortable with that idea as well, because that's what I do, and things will look similar sometimes, and because that's me, I'm doing those things, so obviously they're going to look similar because I made them. So
Right.
you gotta be comfortable with both ideas, I guess. But you made a fair point on that. You don't have to push all the way through to get that across. Especially, you have to, I guess, take breaks when it doesn't add up.
Crazy how we started, like, asking Ryan how he feels, and we just talked like 30 minutes about process and like how we do our work. It's crazy because all these chats kind of deviate to like a different topic. It's crazy.
But the process is the mindset.
I'm curious about your process, Alicia. Like, is that oils that you work with, or how to, like, or is it Photoshop or what? Like, how are you doing?
So it's just a lot of different techniques added up. But yes, indeed, I actually work with tangible materials as a primary base for my artwork. So it can add up from like inks and oils and acrylic paint and soap in my sink and like all of those things. And I take a lot of photographs of that, or scan those things, or just like basically sometimes I just take photographs with my iPhone if I don't want to take my camera. Because sometimes I do this thing that where I forget to charge my batteries for my camera way too often. So sometimes I'm doing something, I'm just like, yeah, it's time to take the photograph, and there's no more battery in my camera, and I'm just like, well, guess we're fucked. But hey, that's fine. So yeah, I just start as a base with that. But as I was mentioning on Orphans live stream last week actually, I really I don't know, but my Josh just said that he lost power, so he's going to be back.
Oh no!
Oh
I think
really? I didn't even notice.
I
His
didn't.
he
I
was
didn't
so
notice.
he was so still. I was like,
Yeah, he was so
wow,
still. I thought he was still here.
Josh is so poised and like, you know, is the top
Wow.
model.
That's a good frame to be frozen
Oh,
on.
okay,
At least
okay.
he wasn't like eyes
Oh.
half shut or something.
It's okay. I told him it's okay. It is going to be back, but I'll just keep answering the question in the meantime. So yeah, I really don't take a lot of I don't, how do I say that? The base process is not that important to me because it's just a way of doing something with my hands and just like getting into the process of like doing art in general, and just it's kind of a meditation grounding technique for me. You know, it's just
Right.
getting out of the computer for a bit and trying to do things organically without trying to control things, and then gain back control when I just put everything on post production. So
Right.
this meaning that it's going to be on Photoshops and just like messing around with processing as well and all of that jazz. And it happens. So somehow it happens, and
Yeah.
it's
Do you use like the smudge tools in Photoshop a lot, or is that in
no.
camera from
Really?
mixing?
No, I really hate the smudge tool. Like everyone thinks I use the smudge tool, but actually I don't, because I feel
Yeah, I
like it's
thought.
really, no, I don't.
It's
Like
all in camera, or
it's mostly on camera, and then
okay.
if I really want to, I can you know, just drag things a bit on the diagonal or something, because all of my artwork stuff like that kind of diagonal movement, or like the center going outwards, etc. But I'm not really found of that, because back in the days I thought that the smudge tool was really interesting. I was like, oh yeah, that's amazing, you can do so much thing with the smudge tool, but it just always looks like not as sharp as just
Right.
organic stuff, in my opinion.
Sure. Makes sense.
And
Yeah,
even
that's
just
that's why when I tried to mimic Alicia's style on my iPad, I couldn't. Like I used it smudge here and there, and never worked. I was like, this looks like shit. Like I don't know how Alicia does it.
Yeah.
but I sometimes may use the liquify tool if I just want to perhaps, like, you know, add a bit of a shadow in the corner or something like that. But really, I don't use those tools because I don't know, I'm really bad at just dragging my mouth, my mouth, my mouse. Sorry, French people just struggling with English. But yeah, my mouse, I just struggle with that, or having the pencil, and it's like it's too much of a burden. But what I do appreciate doing with the pencil or the mouse itself is just like going really, really close in the pictures and just working on the contrast with like a manual shading tool, you know, and I will add up like shades in between the lines, and just like I almost work like on pixel by pixel sometimes, like just getting it. I'm just a freak. Like no one
Right.
notices that, no one except me. Like somehow that gradient on the top corner, I will see it, and I have to go there and I have to zoom in because it's like triggering me somehow. So anyways, that's about the process itself. But I
Yeah.
just really love the technique in general because it feels so soothing just doing that. It just feels really grounding. I hope we can get Josh back.
Yeah, for sure.
I wonder if it's like if he's having power, like powerhouse issues, or like computer issues.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Also, Fesk. So like, I've noticed this recently because I also noticed it with like Clement Morin. Like, you're colorblind, right?
Yeah.
Like, you guys have the best colors ever in your pieces, even though you're colorblind. So I don't know, like, what's the phenomenon behind that? You know, like I was talking to Ness about that at the gallery the other weekend, and he was saying, well, it's because they're just focusing on value. Is that? Do you think that's why? Like.
Yeah. Kind of. I mean, like my color blindness is really subtle per se. I'm Newton colorblind, which means that I have problems with red and green. So like,
Right.
it's interesting because like I have a lot of purple on my artworks, like.
Yeah.
But I
and
kind of
some red.
Yeah, I don't see that much of purple, right? For me, it's kind of blue and red, and like the purple is an accident, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I primarily focus on the value, like the contrast, and maybe because I really need to crank up the contrast between the colors, not the value, like, but red is really far away from blue, you know, RGB. So it's easier for me to understand that difference than if, as opposed, I use like blue and purple, because I have a really hard time distinguish that. And by accident, I have nice colors. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's not an accident.
It's
That's
really
no
not.
accident.
It's all planned, but it's interesting. Can you? I was wondering, Fask, since we were talking about your specificities, I haven't asked you. Like, we didn't even get to you because I wanted for you to update everyone on your situation. How are you doing? What's up? What's going on? Like, how are you feeling?
Okay, I'm doing good. Like, we talked a little bit about this, but I was traveling like last week. I was in Uruguay for a shooting for a project, and that kind of like it was an awesome experience, really nice. But then it kind of fucked my schedule a little bit. So like, because of COVID, I'm really used to sticking to a routine and like working in the morning, getting a break for lunch, work in the afternoon, getting a big break at night, right? When, of course, I'm not in crunch time for any client projects. But then after this trip, dude, it's been really damn hard to get back to work on the same rhythm that I was before, you know? And that gets me anxious a little bit, because I know that we are kind of on the NFT summer, like sales started picking up back again. I'm like, okay, but I'm not in the mood as I was before to work, so it's stressing me out a little bit. But I'm fine. Like overall, I'm chill.
Right.
Hey, Josh, can you hear us? So Josh advised me that it seems like his laptop just died
Uh-oh.
somehow. I don't think that's possible. I hope not. But we're going to take a moment for Josh to just try and go back on his mobile, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
all
yeah.
in all, it's just about it. Like the trip on itself was really cool. A lot of stuff to deal with because of COVID. So it's like international flights. So PCR tests, like a bunch of them, documents here and there. Like the company had to do some proper documents stating that I do not need to do quarantine, and the guys on the airport didn't understand the document, so they wanted to not put me in jail, but like, okay, you need to do quarantine, you know. So like they were really pushing for it. I haven't told you about this, Alicia, but like I kind of needed to. I forgot the word in English, but I kind of fleed. I don't know the exact word, but
What did you do? Like, just mimic it? And then
No,
we'll
I
tell you
hid.
what-
I hid from them. Like, as I was going past immigration, and I was supposed to do quarantine, and they were not understanding the documents. I was okay. Let me go like to this store right here, and I was like slowly getting away, you know. But
You
yeah.
evaded the authorities.
Yeah, I evaded the authorities, but I was
Can
doing
you
nothing
say that
wrong.
on live stream? Is that incriminating?
Nah, I don't think so.
On
I don't think
record.
so.
This is on record. You're going to be screwed for that.
No, I'm not going to.
Straight to jail.
Gonna call the FBI on you.
The Uruguayan FBI. Okay.
arrest this dude.
Where are you, Jessica? Where are you living?
I'm based in Rio, Brazil.
Oh, okay.
Nice to have you back, Josh. Yay.
My
What
computer,
happened?
it just died. It caught on fire and exploded.
Okay. Well, you seem
Never
really
happened
chill with
before.
the idea of your computer being on fire. Like
Yeah,
I want your medication. That sounds really, really great. Like you're so peaceful.
His renders
No, I
were
mean,
fire. That's
Yeah.
what
no,
happened.
this
Too
is
much
my
fire.
laptop. I
It's
just
fine.
use it for calls and stuff, and
It's
I
fine.
don't know what happened. It just gave up, and now it's back, and I'm like, okay, fine
It's
now.
fine. We got you back, and that's what that's what matters.
Yeah. Well,
I wanted.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
what?
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I wanted to ask a question to all of you because I have felt quite out of place this week about that, and I feel like I'm still a bit like trying to process that today and perhaps like the other days as well. But I have been really feeling that fear of being left out lately, and it's kind of paralyzing in a way.
With the collectibles?
Yeah,
Or
that
with
too.
what?
That
I
too.
mean,
With the apes?
Fucking
So
bored
there's-
apes.
So, funny story about the apes. I bought an ape for 0.5 ETH a while ago. And then I sold it for 4 ETH. And now the floor is like
20.
13 ETH.
Yeah, almost.
Is it 20 ETH now?
No, it's
God.
16. It's around 16 right now.
Jesus.
But
Yeah, dude. Like, I sold it at 4, and like, I couldn't sleep that night when I had an offer for 4 ETH on my ape. I was like, holy shit. Like there's no way. Like yeah, like I thought it was gonna keep going up eventually, but I didn't think it would be that quick. So I was just like, I'll just sell now and take the 4 ETH, you know. And that was the only one I had. So it's painful now. So I feel the
know.
FOMO. I
No,
feel the
I
FOMO.
the same thing. I bought mine the day it dropped, but I bought it on secondary for like 0.3, I think.
Hmm.
And, you know, I listed it for 1.3. And I was like, hey, if I make 1 ETH on this thing, that'd be great.
Right.
A couple months went by. I was on vacation, and it sold. And then I was like, cool.
Yeah.
and then a couple more months went by. I'm like, oh God,
That was the wrong decision.
that was a
Yeah.
bad decision.
But hey, I feel like that's that at some point in your journey into NFTs and crypto art and all of those things, you have to make a mistake. It's
Yeah.
inevitable. Like you have to go through 1 or 2 mistakes like that because that's how you learn, I guess. And I kind of wanted to make people feel comfortable with that idea because it's going to happen because
Yeah.
it's a market and it's based on like speculation and like it plays with your emotions and instincts and just actions in general. So you know you are inclined to do those things because it's stressful. You think that you're going to do the good move, even by collecting something or not collecting it, or selling something or not selling it, or minting something and not succeeding, etc. There are so many things that you're going to fail at, but it's not really a failure. It's just part of being
you're
in
learning.
the NFT
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
To be
It's
honest.
a bump in the road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
And it wasn't even a loss. Like, we profited. Like,
Yeah.
we both sold our apes
Exactly.
for more than we got it for. So
yeah.
yeah,
The-
it's just the FOMO.
But the FOMO and the fear of being left out have been around ever since the beginning. I think so. But I don't know. I feel like I haven't talked about that a lot lately. We were talking about that quite a lot at the beginning because that was the hype train and blah, blah, blah. And now that things have settled down a bit and are picking back up, I feel like I'm going through another wave of that. And it's either related to all of those projects that I cannot afford or just like, jump into, or either about the fact that I have this fear of just people forgetting about me and my work, and I just always feel like I have to be there. I have to interact. I have to connect, to tweet, to reply, to like, and to share. And it's a lot, you know. And I know that I'm going to exist even though everyone forgets about me, because I'm still here. I am a human. I have a life.
Yeah.
But overall,
Actually, we
it's
forget
still
about
really.
you.
We won't forget about you.
Thank you. No, but you know what? Do you know the feeling? Like,
Yeah,
have you been going
absolutely.
through that?
Yes, definitely. Like, because I only mint something like once a month now, if
Okay.
that. And I do that intentionally because I don't want to be over minting, and all that stuff. But yeah, and it's stressful. Like every time I mint something, it's like, is it going to sell? Is it not?
Mhm.
Like, and then when the offer comes in, or like you're like talking to like two different collectors, and you feel like you have to please both of them at the same time. Like, fuck, what do I do? So that's why like I just try to keep it to like one thing a month now. But like in that in between period, I'm, where I don't have much to tweet about. I don't have anything interesting to say on the internet. I feel like, oh man, like everybody's moved on to the next project. They're not going to remember, like, my artwork is just the thing of the past. Like that was yesterday, but at the end of the day, we're doing it for ourselves, and we're making art to make ourselves happy. And then, eventually you find that spark again and you make something really cool. And then you post it, and then it gets 1,000 likes, and you're good. You're good for another month.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I just have to always remind myself to answer that prompt, that like I have a hard time letting go of trying to control everything. Like I want to get in there and say, like, if I respond to this comment, if I post, this thing, if I reach out to this person, if I start a conversation with, like, if I tried to like control everything perfectly, I could be the most successful person in the world, like that's what my mind says. But like it's
Yeah.
not really true, like I have to like I have to check myself. Like I have to have gratitude for like, okay, like like how did I get here? Like what happened? Like, well, I sat down and like started making some art, and then I started posting it, and people were like, I like your art, and then I just kept doing that, and that's what I did. Like that's kind of like my side of the street, like that's what I show up and do. And then I think like this is just my personal opinion, but I feel like the universe takes care of everything else. Like I just do my thing, show up and do my thing and put it out there. And of course, like there's some level of like being a part of the community, being part of like, like I like other artists. I like going on, like I like seeing all of your work and all the other NFT artists work. Like most of it is incredible and such incredible exposure. So it's great to support each other, and it's great to be a part of a community, but like if I'm there trying to like manipulate the system to like, like tip the scales in my favor somehow, I'm just gonna make myself crazy, because it's the same thing as selling an ape too early. It's like I can't make perfect decisions. I can't make perfect decisions every time. Like I'm always gonna be making mistakes. I'm always gonna be regretting that I didn't do something, or why didn't I reply to that email when Nifty Gateway sent me an email in,
Yeah,
the middle of
Same.
last year.
right.
Which
I
didn't
saw a
happen.
couple people. I saw a couple people
Yeah.
post that on Twitter.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I missed my first meeting with Tommy. Like I didn't show up.
Wow.
I had a meeting with Tommy, and
That's so funny.
I was like,
Sometimes when you act like you don't
I'm
care.
sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, sometimes when you act like you don't care, it just makes them want you more.
They're like,
Psychology.
I don't know, but I felt like such an idiot like a couple months later, and I was like, oh my god, I
No.
can't believe I almost blew that opportunity.
Right.
But
I
that's the
mean-
point, I don't make perfect decisions.
Yeah.
And I can't control everything. All I can do is like do my thing and stick to like my roots, which is like I make art and I put it out there. I put out art like to keep myself accountable, so that like I keep creating, more than anything.
Totally.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel though that like sticking to your like roots and like style and purpose, as Josh said, is like it's amazing. But then again, like the market, it's always changing, and the thing is like sometimes it changes in a direction that doesn't fit you that well. Like just like with the collectibles, everyone dropping a avatar collectibles and stuff like that. Could I have done one? Yes, I could. But it doesn't fit me that well, so I didn't. But then there's
Exactly.
always like that lingering feeling in the back. Okay, if I maybe it would be a success. Maybe that project will boost my 101s even more. Who knows? But like I feel that it's good to stick to your roots, but then it's a little bit painful as you see the market shifting and like maybe it's not your time to shine right now and it's hard to accept that, you know?
Right.
I felt that definitely. I talked to you about that yesterday, I think so.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's definitely something I've been experiencing and dealing with for the past couple of months, I guess, because just asking myself questions about what I do, what for, and who for, and just seeing that down period, and just like seeing, like, for example, sales not going up or something. I've just been dealing with all of these questions about myself, and I feel like sometimes I just need to accept the fact that I've been doing everything as I could. Like, I've been putting all of the efforts that I could, and I've been doing this great. And if it's not coming now, it's because it's not meant to be, and it's going to happen at some point, because there's a lot of behaviors that are going to change with time, and the way we consume NFTs and the way we perceive NFTs, and who's going to be involved in the NFTs as well. So I have faith. You have to have faith, because otherwise, what is it all for? Like, if you don't have faith in yourself or what you do, and in a bit of a change in the world, then it's going to be difficult. And I know it's difficult to just have that hope and faith, but you have to find it in something, at least something small to start with. And the more you start building faith and hope into small things, the more you're going to be able to build it for the overall, the larger overview of your life, I guess.
Yeah. The only thing that gives me faith on like my career on NFTs is that we are still early as hell, extremely damn early. And when I look at the technology, I look at the potential of the technology, the amount of active wallets we have collecting NFTs these days. It's like 50,000, 60,000. It's not that much, It's not that much at all. Some of us, like I think that Alicia and Josh, they have more Instagram followers than the total amount of active wallets, It's crazy if you think about it,
Right.
So yeah, there's
those followers around lately. Where are they? Because my engagement on Instagram is shit, but hey, that's fine.
That's another conversation entirely, like the engagement on Twitter. But just to close that up, like we're still early as hell. So I think that
Totally.
that's the thing that reassures me when my sales might be a little bit down, the space might be a little bit colder than like a few months back, but then give it like a year or a year and a half, and we are here early, and we were going to probably capitalize that in the future, right? So that's the thing that kind of
yeah, I mean, I think the key is like you've got your art, it's on the blockchain, and that that's never going away. It's there. Like, you look back at like what was minted in like 2017. It's like, when it happened, like, it was there at that time, and I think like getting it down, like getting it in the blockchain is like, I think that's really the key. Like, doesn't really matter, like, like obviously don't overmint, but it doesn't really matter like how much it's selling for today. You know, like, you know, I just go back and look at like Xcopy and Coldy, and like they were selling pieces back then for like $150, and like they were just like, I'm just happy to be in on this like at the beginning, and I think this is a cool technology, and like, hey, $150, why not? You know, like I mean, I'm used to like doing album licenses for, you know, not that much more than that, you know. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's just kind of cool that those dudes were kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna jump into this, and now like their stuff's worth, you know,
Yeah.
$500,000, $1 million, you know, and it's, I mean, it's amazing. So like, you know, I think there's maybe what 5,000, maybe less than that. There's maybe like 1,000 NFT artists right now.
No,
you know,
no,
that are,
that it's way more. I think that
I mean, there's a lot more.
Foundation, yeah,
I
Foundation
think there's
alone.
1,500 people on Super Rare, right?
How many?
Yeah, super.
1,500 people on Super Rare.
Yeah, and there's
I saw that recently.
yeah, there's like 15,000 on Foundation, if I'm not mistaken.
15,000 on.
Yeah,
Wow.
but it's still like it's still really a small number of people. You know, if you
It's
take in
really
consideration
small.
like all the digital artists out there, it's really small.
It
Yeah, I mean, I
is.
feel like the people that, you know, like the community of the people that I know is probably a lot smaller than the overall representative, you know.
Totally.
But you know, I just mean, you know, it's gonna be like there's gonna be like a huge community that grows up around all of us, you know, which is super cool to be a part of.
Yeah,
And
I hope so.
I'm just like, it's gravy, you know, like who knows what's coming down the road, you know?
Mm-hmm. Guess we
Yeah.
have to be patient about that, which is something that is kind of challenging to have, and like to just like challenge and channel in general, like having patience about things, and like really trying to be in the present is something really difficult for everyone, and of course for artists as well, because we are always trying to be ahead of ourselves. So it's really difficult, but I think we're doing great, because